Hello everyone, welcome to today's session. So this is the part 9 for Research and Publication Ethics PhD coursework. In previous class we completed unit number 2 and now we would be starting another unit. So specifically this is unit number 3 and in this today's session we are going to cover publication ethics, definition, introduction, importance, best practices and these standard initiatives taken up or guidelines given by COPE and WAME and the conflict of interest. And next video we would be continuing the another part. Fine. So if we talk about publication ethics. Ethics we have already studied. What do you mean by ethics? Ethics are the set of principles which guide us what is correct, what is wrong, what is to be done, what is not to be done. So ethics is something that. When we talk about publication, तो publication का मतलब क्या होता है? Publication is you publish your paper, you publish your research paper, then any kind of your work when you publish, it has certain ethical guidelines. Those ethical guidelines which are associated with your publications are called as publication ethics. So if I have to define publication ethics, it refers to the set of principles and standards guiding whom? So who are the stakeholders or who are the people, those who need to follow this publication ethics? So it is for authors, reviewer, editor and publishers. In ensuring integrity, accountability and fairness in scholarly publishing. So whatever paper you present, whatever books you publish, in everything publication ethics guide the people to make sure you maintain integrity, accountability. Done. Another definition. Publication ethics is a critical in maintaining credibility of scientific literature. See, what do you mean by credibility? So credibility is people will trust me only if I am maintaining that ethics. Let's take an example. If you get a source or let's say you are appearing for any kind of exam. So what do you look forward for? A book or a source which is credible enough, means where you can trust, where there is a transparency and it is valid. You're not studying from a book which is giving you unnecessary or unrelated information. Also, you would look forward for some mentor or a teacher who himself or herself has already been associated with that particular background. So this gives you the credibility. It involves addressing dispute, plagiarism, redundant publications and conflict of interest. So why the publication ethics is important? Not only to maintain integrity, not only to make sure that it is confidentiality, but in order to avoid any kind of plagiarism, any kind of conflict of interest if it is there. Ab conflict of interest kya hai? We'll study in the forward lines. Adhering to ethical standards, safeguard the scientific record and foster the trust among the researchers and the public. See, research is very, very important not only for the scientific community but for the society, for the public also. Over the time, with the new research, there is something new which comes into the existence, or rather you become aware of something which is already existing but you were not aware of it, or something very new which can be a new way of fighting any disease or anything. So researchers or a scientific community need to follow this ethical standard, because one mistake or one unnecessary or unethical behavior may break down the trust. People will not trust if they get negatively affected, right? So ethical issues with the publications are to be carried forward in a proper way. Now, what is the importance? It maintains the integrity, upholding honesty, transparency and accountability. Credibility ensures reliability, accuracy and sound method. Fairness, proper attribution, prevention of plagiarism. Quality assurance. So, through peer review, error identification and bias mitigation. So, make sure your paper or publication is peer reviewed. People, those who are expert into it, they go through the things through your work and they review it. Yes, this work is trustable. So when you do follow this publication ethic which involve peer review, it will definitely add a credibility to your work. protecting participant. So those who are people participating in your research, informed consent. This is part of ethics. You need to take uninformed thing, or if you are doing any kind of research where they are not informed, is not correct. So make sure there is an informed consent. People know why they are being a part of this research and what are their benefits. Confidentiality and welfare protection, legal compliance, adherence to the ethical guidelines, regularity requirement, and the risk vegetation. So there are many governmental regulations, there are many guidelines which are given by various institutions related to scientific community. So those guidelines, those regulatory frameworks should be followed if you are talking about publication ethics. Okay? Now, what are the best practices or the standard setting initiatives and the guidelines given by the different institutions, or what are initiative taken by different you can say institution or organization. So best practice and standard setting initiative in publication ethics are essential for guiding researcher, author, reviewer, editor, publisher toward ethical conduct of scholarly publishing. ठीक है, अब इसमें हमारे जो नॉन गाइडलाइंस या इनिशिएटिव हैं जो डिफरेंट ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस ने लेकर आए हैं, दे हैव गिवन अ गाइडलाइंस. सो दिस इज द लिस्ट बेसिकली, बट you don't have to remember each of them in the detail. The detailed one is like this one, we will be discussing in future classes as well, but for now we would be discussing COPE and WAME. ठीक है, so इसका फुल फॉर्म, नाउ दिस इज अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. अगर आप एग्जाम में फुल फॉर्म लिखते हैं, इट हैज टू बी करेक्ट. सो कमिटी ऑन पब्लिकेशन एथिक्स, इंटरनेशनल कमिटी ऑफ मेडिकल जर्नल एडिटर, specifically this is related to medical field, consolidated standard of reporting the trials consort, enhancing the quality and transparency of health research equator, that is network, good publication practices GPP, National Institute of Health NIH guidelines, World Association of Medical Editor WAME, Declaration of Helsinki. So these are the different guidelines which can be followed while you are dealing with publication, looking forward for the publication. Now COPE, see COPE और WAME या कोई और गाइडलाइन जो है, you don't have to go very much into the detail. जितना आपको क्वेश्चन एग्जाम में पूछा जाएगा लाइक थ्योरी के लिए, राइटिंग द मेन पॉइंट्स इज मोर देन इनफ until and unless they are asking you very detailed. ठीक है, सो विथ कोप अब आपको अगर एग्जाम में आता है एक्सप्लेन द पब्लिकेशन स्टैंडर्ड्स और गिवन बाय गाइडलाइंस गिवन बाय कोप एंड वेम, साथ में पूछा कोप का पेज पूछा, तो आप अपने आंसर को व्हाट डू यू मीन बाय कोप, कोप इज इंस्टीट्यूशन और इट इज प्रोवाइडिंग अ गाइडलाइन फॉर पब्लिकेशन एथिक्स. तो पहले आप डेफिनेशन लिख सकते हैं व्हाट इज पब्लिकेशन एथिक्स टू स्टार्ट विथ योर आंसर, स्टार्ट योर आंसर विद द बेसिक थिंग. ठीक है, सो व्हाट इज कोप, फाउंडेड इन 1997. कोप सर्व एज द प्राइमरी मेन बेसिक प्राइमरी इंटरनेशनल फोरम फॉर एडिटर्स एंड पब्लिशर. सो कौन कौन है यहाँ पे, एडिटर एंड पब्लिशर, टू डिस्कस द पब्लिकेशन एथिक इश्यूज with over 13,000 members worldwide, including many Indian institutions. COPE provides practical guidance on handling ethical dilemmas in the scholarly publishing. ठीक है, it is a non-profit organization. Now what are the areas in which the COPE deals with? So it has or it addresses study design and ethical approval, data analysis, authorship, conflict of interest, the peer review process, redundant publication, plagiarism, duties of editor, media relation, advertising, how to deal with the misconduct. So even if you list down this in your answer, it is more than enough. हाँ, आप अपने study purpose के लिए to understand COPE in detail, you can just go through it in a detailed way. इसके website पे जाके you can just go through it into the detail, because you should have a detailed knowledge as well. Then what are the key documents specifically for the ethical principles or ethical publication ethics the COPE has given? COPE has given a flow chart. So this flow chart actually helps to resolve the ethical dilemmas or ethical issues in publishing. Now one of the major thing that COPE deals with is authorship. Now there are different kind of authorship. We will study in the details, and there is a different dispute related to author also. We will study in proper different class. But what do COPE give the guideline related to authorship? It says a due credit should be provided to the authors. Early planning of authorship contribution. In order to avoid the main errors, or you can say hosh-posh into the authorship, early planning should be there. Accountability of authors. Every author should be given right credibility, and they should take the accountability of themselves, their work. Careful reading of target journals. Advice to the authors is advised in the light of current uncertainties. So this is basic thing which COPE guides on the authorship. Now, conflict of interest. Now this is again very important issue related to publication ethics. What is meaning of conflict of interest? See, what is interest? I am publishing a paper, or there are different authors who are interested or have invested their time and their work in this publication. They have their own interest, right? I want to do a genuine research. That is my interest. Some may have another kind of interest. So there should be no conflict of interest between the authors. So when do this conflict का मतलब होता है विवाद, difference. So when do this conflict of interest arises? When personal, financial or professional relationship influence or appear to influence a researcher's or author's objectivity. So let's say some publication has promised me indirectly that if you publish this particular paper in my publication, we will offer you some monetary help. So that is my personal objective. This is a conflict. Or if there is a publication, okay, and two, husband and wife, they are in relationship, they can have conflict of interest. So in context of scholarly publishing, conflict of interest can arise among author, reviewer, editor, publisher and other stakeholder. So these are the people among whom there can be any kind of conflict. Now, if we have to divide, conflicts can be divided into four major parts: financial, personal, professional, intellectual. We will study them one by one. Now, example for the conflict of interest is a publisher having vested interest in promoting certain research finding due to their potential impact on advertising revenue or international reputation, institutional reputation. See, in a research, I took funding from some institution and I am trying to give more focus on that part only. This is conflict of interest. Other authors are not interested to do so. They want complete. Everything should be given the importance. So this is conflict of interest. Now, what are the importance of addressing the conflict? It ensures transparency in research and publication, prevent bias in misinterpretation of finding, maintain the credibility and trustworthiness of scientific process. ठीक है, अगर आप देखेंगे ना, this concept is very much, everything is related. See, जो उसका objective है वही उसका importance है. So when you have an objective कि इसकी transparency maintain करना चाहिए, तो that is an importance also. How would you manage the conflict? Disclose all the potential conflict of interest at the time of manuscript submission. अगर आपने कोई पेपर पढ़े हैं, रिसर्च पेपर्स पढ़े हैं या पब्लिकेशन पढ़े हैं, you must have seen there is a note or there is a line which says there is no conflict of interest among the authors, right? So there is no potential conflict of interest among the author. This is written there. So this is declaration कि आप करते हो कि नहीं, ऐसा कोई conflict of interest नहीं है. ठीक है? Now in importance we already done. Okay, let's understand financial conflict, personal conflict, professional and intellectual conflict in detail. So financial conflict, financial is monetary. Anything which is related to monetary is financial. So financial conflict of interest is a situation when you stand at a gain or lose financially through the decision which you are asked to take, like patent rights, royalties. I am interested to gain money. मेरा purpose इस publication से है to earn money. But there are certain conditions which I agree, I may have lower money, कम पैसा आएगा. So this is my conflict, because my interest is money, not the publication, not the work. So this creates a conflict. Stock ownership in a company, in a research. You are doing a research for the company because you want a stock ownership. Research funding is from biased sources. They are funding you because they have their own interest, or you have your own interest. Then comes professional conflict. Kind of professional conflict of interest occur when a researcher value more to professional growth rather than objective. So sometime it may happen, the publication researcher जो है अपने one publication को multiple way में publish कर रहा है. So he has the objective of professional growth rather than research. So this is a professional, when you focus on professional growth, professional interest, that is called as professional conflict. Competing research with rival institution, career advancement of growth, competition with colleagues. Then comes personal conflict. Personal conflict arises in following conditions: family relationship with author, friendship or personal relationship, political ideological beliefs, religious and cultural belief. These are self-explanatory. If you vary in your cultural belief and you're associating with a certain research work, definitely it will create a conflict. Then comes intellectual attachment to a particular theory. See, research involves multiple theories. So if you want to continue a publication or the research with following certain theory, another author want to follow certain theory, another theory. So this is also a conflict. Previous published positions, investment in particular methodology, prior research contradicting the current findings. These all are intellectual conflict. Now, other than this, some more type of conflict of interest are actual conflict of interest, potential says there can be. Perceived is you are perceiving them. Conflict of duty, and actual conflict of interest is actually what exists. So this is complete conflict of interest. Okay. Now, WAME. COPE we studied. WAME. What is WAME? World Association of Medical Editors. WAME is a global organization founded in 1995, committed to promoting excellence in medical editing. So this is specifically associated with medical journal. Objectives: guidance and support, education and training, policy development, advocacy, research. You can go through the detailed version of this on the website. But since we are focusing on writing the exam, this is enough, even if you give the title. Now, a comprehensive policy on publication ethics that each individual journal or editor should follow. So these are the guidelines given by WAME. Conflict of interest in a peer-reviewed medical journal. Study design, authorship, peer review, editorial decision, originality, prior publication and media relation, plagiarism, advertising, responding to allegations of possible misconduct, relation to the journal of sponsoring the society. So you can see, कोप के अपने गाइडलाइंस हो सकते हैं, अपना फ्लो चार्ट हो सकता है, वेम के अपने गाइडलाइंस और अपने फ्लो चार्ट है. सो वेम इज स्पेसिफिकली फॉर द मेडिकल जर्नल. तो फॉर फर्दर डिटेल्स you can just go through the website and go through each one of them, how their guidelines are related to study design. While writing the answers, you need not to write each and everything into the detail. Now, moving to some other, ICMJE, International Committee of Medical Journal Editor, establishes uniform requirement for manuscript, including authorship and criteria. Council of Science Editor offer guideline on responsible conduct in scholarly publishing. So these all are the one who are actually giving their guidelines. You can follow either of them while your publication. Done? So that was the session for the day. Now we just completed what is the publication ethics and all. Now there are certain roles and responsibilities that authors and publishers, editors and viewers should follow. तो authors की क्या roles and responsibilities होती हैं? You have to just write this much only. You can what you can say, elaborate this point by yourself as well. Author की responsibility क्या है? Ensure accuracy of data, Make sure you are documenting something which you have done in your research. Don't do a fabrication or falsification. Conduct research ethically, follow journal guideline, submit original and unpublished work, avoid duplicate submission, that is your redundant publication, provide data when requested, describe method clearly for reproducibility, that maintains your credibility, maintain proper research record, disclose conflict of interest, just now we studied, give authorship only to the significant contributor. ठीक है. पब्लिशर की क्या क्राइटेरिया है? सो पब्लिशर्स आर द वन हु विल पब्लिश योर वर्क. व्हाट शुड दे डू? वेरीफाई ऑथरशिप क्राइटेरिया. Obtain author contribution statement. You have to take a contribution statement from every author. Confirm written consent from the co-author. Conduct plagiarism screening. Maintain transparency. Ensure fairness in editorial process. Protect confidentiality from submission. Prevent unethical publication practices. Avoid manipulation of journal metrics. Uphold the integrity of scholarly publication. So ये author और publisher की guideline है. Clear? Next. Editor and reviewers की roles and responsibility. So editor will make sure, editor are the people, those who edit. Timely review the manuscript. Select the qualified and independent reviewer. Maintain confidentiality of manuscript and communication. Make editorial decision based on merit. Avoid bias. Protect the privacy. Ensure the ethical standards. Prevent the manipulation of citation. And reviewers' roles and responsibility. One who review, peer review. Evaluate originality and significance. Access the methodology. Verify accuracy and validity. Identify the error, inconsistency. Complete confidentiality should be there. Disclose any conflict of interest. Remain objective, impartial. So these are basically which you understand by yourself. I mean to say, when you study the things in a detail, you would understand कि reviewer की क्या responsibility होती है, editor की क्या responsibility होती है. Sometimes these are very conceptual और अपने आप भी लिख सकते हो आप. Right? So this was the session. This was the part 1 for the unit number 3, and next part we would be doing in the next video.